am Wangari Kamau. I am part of the team that leads the Milling Middle East and Africa magazine, and it is my pleasure to moderate this panel. And I am going to welcome my panelists. I only have two, so we are not gonna eat too much into the time. And our first panelist is Mr. Paul Kamau, CEO of AKEFEMA. Yes, and then my second panelist is Khalfan Machera from Buhler. Okay, so animal feed is a very important player in the food industry. And you know, something very interesting is that about 70 to 85% of all the protein we get in human diets comes from animal protein. So it is very important for us to have conversations around animal feed, because what we feed our animals eventually affects what gets into our food. Yes, and karibuni to this important panel. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Paul. Briefly, tell us what AKEFEMA is. What AKEFEMA is. What role do you play in the food industry?
Thank you very much, Wangari. As you heard, my name is Paul Kamau. I'm currently the CEO of Association of Kenya Feed Manufacturers, known as AKEFEMA. AKEFEMA is a business membership organization for feed millers and organization or companies that provide services, raw materials, technology and equipment to feed millers in the country. Currently we are around 100, the 104th member joined today. So we are 104 members. Out of that, around 81 are feed millers. The others are suppliers of ingredients, equipment like Buhler, our member, and technology, software, guys who do formulations and consultancy in animal nutrition. And we feed millers are in food business because our motto is for quality feeds for safe feed for quality food. Yeah, I think it's the other way around. It is quality feed for safe food. Yes, quality feed for safe food, because as Wangari has said, it is very important, especially when children are growing up and young people, to have quality proteins. And if we deny children the right animal protein, they end up to stunt a bit. So by denying children the right protein nutrition, we don't have normal growth in children, and which is it's actually in Africa is a big calamity. And we as AKEFEMA, what we are doing is to ensure, one, we address the issue of quality in animal feed in Kenya, because you've had a lot of outcry from farmers that farmers are getting very low quality feeds. Feeds are not available, and also they are very expensive. So what we do is to organize the industry in such a way that we facilitate business in the country, and also ensure that people who are supplying, or the ingredients that we get and the formulation that we get for feed millers is the right one, so that we can guarantee safe quality feed for our market.
That's very important. And AKEFEMA, we had the honor of featuring AKEFEMA in our latest Milling magazine, and you could check it out for more details about what they do. And now I'm going to pose a question to Khalfan. Okay, I see that research shows that a lot of animal protein is actually going to be coming from aquaculture in the future. And so, as Buhler is a technology provider in this animal feed sector, what trends are you, what specific technological advancements are you seeing in this space that your company is tapping into?
Yeah, well, my name is Khalfan Machera, project and process engineer for Aquafeed from Buhler. Wangari, actually, protein is something that is needed for our diet. And the key driver for protein to come in is the population growth and rates of urbanization. It's like 2050, we will be around 10 billion people. And with this population, 46 of it will be coming from Africa. And you know, the population grows, the people are growing, they need more protein. And the protein is coming mainly from beef, poultry, and others. But if we compound in some other points of sustainability, we see like for the sustainable source of protein to sustain this population, it should now we consider the blue economy, where we now look to the water sources where we farm the fish, either in lakes or in oceans, so that we can satisfy the population with a protein. So even at your home, you can store maize or other starch sources for long, right? But you cannot keep the meat for very long time, right? Why? Because nature has designed this way. The protein has to be circulating. So that's why we have now animal sitting in between us, between the circulation where we can eat it later. Yeah, like a store or reserve where we can eat it. So the animal, also poultry, is a key contribution for the protein. So now it's the innovation to make the fish farming becomes even to satisfy this level of protein. As we know, the fish farming is the most sustainable way of obtaining protein. As you see in the utilization of fresh water, which is already limited resource, is very low. Utilization of energy, also amount of conversion between what you feed and what you get in terms of the protein is higher in aquatic animals, the fish, I mean. So what do we do? So for the innovations now, the fish is an organism which is living in the water, and then you need to feed it. So the technology, how to feed them, is something which is in this part of the world is kind of new, because the fish is underwater or maybe is suspended somewhere, and so you understand the behavior of the fish, so that when you feed it, this fish is not like you're throwing into the water and it's wasting. So the flotation is a key point, where you see how much you're feeding and the feeding behavior of your animal. So speaking about innovations, it's like the protein, the fish feeds, the aqua feeds in general, they require high levels of protein compared to the others. Like the starters can start with somehow 45, can go to next level can be 38 there, and then you finish with 34 somehow, this range. So in the diet itself, there's a high levels of protein, so that we feed the protein sources and get the good quality protein. So with this, and previously people were going to the wild, catch the fish, so you catch the fish to feed the fish that you eat. So now we are the transformation is now going to get away from this fish meal, from the wild capture, because they're also causing some decline over there. So we go more into land-based sources, like having protein or some other kind of innovative proteins, like from microbes or somewhere, to make some kind of circular. So the innovation here which is needed is to process this kind of the poor quality products, and aiding floatability, digestibility, and achieving this nutrition. That's the key problems that we are still addressing with our challenge. So for us, we are focusing more, Buhler, as we know, in the extrusion process on feeding the fish, the pellet size that you're feeding the fish, because it should match with the opening of the mouth, from the baby fish now to the table size fish. So with this one, when you're making this kind of fish, the extruder, which is the main equipment used to make this kind of floating so that you can feed it to the fish, sometimes it's having so many technical difficulties. If the downstream process is like a proper grinding, inclusion of amount in the formulation, like having good starch to make this feed puff or float. So this is how Buhler now we have innovated more into into more innovative products that really help in the grinding process, proper mixing, and until your extrusion. And now we go through the drying process where now we see all this until you get the final good product with clear mind on energy. Yes.
That's a lot. And so my next question is going to go to Paul. Does your association has in place to make sure that these technologies are being adopted by your members to make production more cost effective and more sustainable?
Thank you very much. As an association, we are, as I said earlier, we have three triple challenges in this country. One is issue of quality. The other one is cost of feed and availability of feed. And mostly for availability is raw materials. So for us to address the issue of quality and cost, the association is working on increasing efficiency and effectiveness of our milling processes. And as I said earlier, we have within ourselves consultants, we have within ourselves equipment manufacturers. And what we are doing right now is, first of all, to try and work on equipping our feed millers. We have three categories of feed millers. We have organized ourselves based on the capacity to produce and the resources they have invested. We have tier 1 feed millers who are producing over 10 million metric tons. And then we have tier 2, 5 to 10, and then we have tier 1. We're doing 2 to 5. And then we have the lower ones. So what we're doing is try to upgrade the lower ones by engaging first. We are working with banks. We tried working with the banks for quite some time. We are working with the IFC, International Finance Corporation of the World Bank, to give cheaper loans to our feed miller in the lower cadre. And Buhler and other equipment providers have come in to join this move so that we can give cheap money, we can avail cheap money to our feed millers, and they can pay over a long time, so that they can get proper machines. What have been happening for the lower cadre and the middle cadre is that they have been getting equipment that are very expensive to maintain. They consume a lot of energy and the effectiveness is low. So number one, what you're doing is modernization of equipment within our feed millers. It's gradual. Maybe they take a mixture this time. Next time they'll take a pelleter and hammer mill and all that slowly with time until they get full capacity. We are still in the initial stage. We are still discussing with Buhler and financial institution to ensure that we can get to an agreement. Hopefully we start next year. We've had a couple of meetings with Buhler, equipment providers, and the IFC to ensure that our feed millers can start upgrading to address the issue of quality and effectiveness. So number one is effectiveness, modernization of equipment. Number two is capacity building. Buhler have a very good school that our millers attend, and I hope Khalfan will talk about it. We are also inviting consultants and trainers as AKEFEMA to trade feed millers on specific issues of addressing mycotoxins and things that affect quality. And so that is one. Next month we'll be organizing a feed miller only conference where we'll have experts from around the world, from Netherlands, from South Africa, from Britain, and we have equipment providers even from Turkey to come and talk to our feed millers and big farmers. So modernization, capacity building, and also exposure and exchange programs. Some of our millers will organize visits to develop countries so that they can experience and have the exposure for where they can see efficient working feed millers. And we also train, this year also started training on business management processes like issues of procurement, financial management, and storekeeping, so that we can avoid losses, so that we don't push a lot of expenses that we incur out of negligence and ignorance to the farmer to contribute to the cost. So modernization, capacity building, and exposure and knowledge transfer with our partners abroad and in the region. Good.
Thank you very much for that. And one of the problems that you have mentioned that is facing the feed industry is availability of raw materials. So let me pose a question to Khalfan. Are you seeing like feed millers adopting alternative products and locally sourcing raw materials to ensure that there is enough and there is quality raw materials to produce their feed?
I think for the availability of raw materials, there's a concept, we call it least cost formulations. Like maybe for this animal, maybe for this, maybe chicken, you need, maybe it's a starter. You mix maybe maize, jam, whatever, pollard, these kind of things. So the formulator, he will just see availability, also cost. So also this availability goes with seasonality. So when he mixes these things to get a formula suitable to meet the nutritional requirement for that chicken, so he sees also the prices, and with this nutrition requirement, the targets that he's formulating, he also sees the cost. So the product sum of working of these things and at the end result of how much cost per ton he gets, then he chooses this raw material and this one and to see how it is doing. So for us as the equipment suppliers, we make sure that our innovation or innovative products can have ability to give ability to the feed manufacturer the flexibility to work with different kinds of raw materials. Sometimes you might find there's a mostly challenge balancing between the protein, energy, and fiber. And with this kind, you find some other ingredients, they're having anti-nutritional factors that need to be deactivated. Maybe it cannot be consumed with this small chicken or big or this different stage. So for us, we understand the raw material profile in the region, and then we suggest or come up with the right process which is suitable for the market, like to have ability to process the ingredients with high levels of fibers, or maybe there are some ingredients that we need a lot of deactivation of anti-nutritional factors before it affects the animal. So this is what we do, and employing things like pelletizing, using the thermal processing where you inject steamed and mash to convert it now to the crumbs or pellets, where now you have a double function of now deactivating and also cooking and making the nutrition content of the ingredients available to the animal. So this is what we do.
Okay, that's amazing, and it's going to be, when he was talking about elevating some of the tier 1 feed producers, then with these technologies they can upgrade to higher tiers, right? And so let's talk about government support a little bit. So in your association, how closely are you working with the government to reduce those 3 problems that you talked about facing the animal feed sector? Are there specific policies, specific initiatives that you can mention?
Yeah, thank you. I think as a Kenyan, we feel that, especially in our feed industry, we feel this is the first pro-agriculture government we've ever had. It is very supportive to the feed industry. I can say, for instance, because of the drought, first of all, we had a very big tragedy. 2 years ago, we lost over 2.5 million cattle because of drought. And due to unavailability of raw materials, our feed cost was almost doubling. And we talked to the government. It was very new in office. We talked to them, and though they had a big challenge of raising resources, they forfeited tax from us for a whole 13 months. They gave a duty-free for all imports that were meant for feed production. Because our industry in Kenya, unfortunately, almost 80% of the input we use in animal feed is imported. Even maize we get from the East Africa and Comesa region. Uganda, Tanzania, times Zambia, we get soya from Zambia. The government forfeited all that so that they can sustain the industry. Unfortunately, when they had given us duty waiver in 2 sessions, 2 sessions of 6 months, the dollar was very high up. So actually, if we didn't have duty waiver, it would be a very big crisis. So what happened, the industry really cautioned the farmers. We kept our prices constant for all the 13 months. So that we ensure, because we need to sustain the farmer. They are our customers. They make decisions on behalf of the animals on what to eat from us. So the government is very supportive on that. We are still negotiating for the next phase, but we are very happy now because we got very good harvest on maize, which is up to 60% of the ingredient of all our feed meal, depending on the animal you're feeding. So because of the good harvest, we are not importing maize from outside, but we still need waiver for the other ingredients that we add. Unfortunately, again, in early this year, because of the drought in the SADC region, Zambia closed down their border. They say they are not going to export soya anymore. It's our main primary source of soya. And then Malawi followed suit. So now we have a crisis of where to get soy. And the government have a policy that we can only use non-GM soya. We have a lot of soya around, but for Kenya it must be non-GM. We have a lot of corn around. It must be non-GM. So it's a bit expensive now. You have to go all the way to India, and they are soon going to close down because everybody is going there. So what I can say, the point is that the government have been very supportive. The government have been very supportive. And one time, I think some years back, there was a proposal by the Ministry for Finance to input VAT on animal feed. We really mobilized ourselves, talked with the farmers, and we made a lot of noise. And though we wanted to be zero rated, now we are exempt. So feed in Kenya is exempt. So the question to whether government is supporting, those are 2 examples that the government is really supportive of the industry. And it's because they recognize a country that is over 60% arid. Most people living in the arid areas, every family would have an animal. Most of those families would consider keeping an animal apart from farming. So if the government is really keen on transforming the life of people in the Asa region, the best bet is animals. And with the land diminishing very fast, we need to work on intensive farming, where you have little land but have high yield of production from animals. So go to zero grazing, and when you zero graze, that is market for us. And when you go to what Khalfan is talking about having fish pond, they have to feed on animal feed. So the government, in cognizance of the fact that, first of all, they want to work on issue, the main one being food security, but also working on issues of poverty eradication and empowering young people to farm and to see agriculture as a way of self-employment, and to move from having farming in the arid areas as hobby to food commercialization. The government is really supporting us to move into higher levels of production and efficiency so that many farmers can afford our feed. So I can confidently say that this time we have a very livestock, let's not say agriculture, livestock friendly government. And we are really happy about it as an industry.
I'm sure that is quite eye-opening for most of us who didn't know that our government has been supporting the feed industry that much. So let me talk about another resource that is very important, human resource. So some of our audience, including some of them who are streaming these sessions right now, are either university students or new food professionals. So please speak about the opportunities that are there for them in the feed industry, because some of them are food professionals and they don't think about feed when they're even considering career choices after school. Khalfan.
All right, so for the career after school, do we have students here? Huh?
have students here? If you're a student, please raise your hand.
Oh, okay,
Great,
quite a
yeah.
number. So for the animal feed milling industry, actually there is kind of a 3 career path. One of it is you can be a nutritionist, where you know the biology and growth of the animal and nutritional requirements. Yes, from balancing the protein, energy, vitamins, whatever, everything linked with it. Some other some diseases control also linked with this one. This is nutritionist, and also another one is engineer, like we do here, equipment manufacturer. So you know like what kind of product is needed, and it should be done under what processes, like grinding, maybe you intake, clean, grind, mix. Maybe you need to pelletize, expand, extrude. So you design equipment like we do. So you can be like an engineer working, maybe designing equipment. Yes. So you can do these things, digging more like electrical, mechanical, something like this, automation, all these parts in the animal feed mills. And the last one is like a process engineer. So being as a process, you know, you understand about the product itself, the animal itself is more or less combining all these things. And then you know, like now you have these raw materials, you need this right equipment, it should go through this process. Then now you have this product now can give this kind of performance. So this combination, all these kind of people are the people who works maybe independently or combined together in the animal feed industry. So and these are the key drivers, and the other part is just the management. This is the core. And the management is like maybe a production manager who has ideas about the market, wherever these things comes in. Maybe maintenance who have more ideas about mechanical, electrical things. So this is the things that you can find. So ideally here, mostly here what you can do, maybe you do nutrition, or you go the pathway of mechatronics somehow. Yeah, this is according to my understanding.
And please, how do you see the adoption of AI playing into these career options for these people, or generally in animal feed production?
All right, AI is topic everywhere. It's now like an oxygen. Everyone wants to do AI. Even my wives want to cook something using AI. So in animal feed milling, actually, we are also having this AI. Actually, Buhler is we do a lot of innovations, and we have a lot of AI products in the animal industry, animal equipments, whatever. So with these ones, what we do